Yeah, give it.
You guys made your point there for you, though.
It's easier on mine. Fine.
We open these all the time, we only get comments. So where's everybody from?
The big one in California. A bunch of different states, mostly Washington.
California, Minnesota,
Illinois.
Someone here, largely Washington.
Illinois, Michigan.
Great.
yeah.
Birthday poster, yeah, it's over there. American, the horse.
Apparently you have another one from a city.
Yeah. It's not nearly as big though.
Yeah.
It's so many signatures.
And who's the organizer?
That dude.
Thank you very much. I don't have nothing to do with the card, I just delivered it for a friend.
Friend.
Like, I didn't organize the card, I organized this.
That was everybody on the line.
What did you guys do? You went on a tour?
Yeah.
Long time fan, first time tourist.
We met Ice Frogs.
Super rarely.
I had not let that secret go yet.
So what am I supposed to do? I feel like I should be
Well,
clever or
Can you
something.
sing? Or we can sing.
no. Yeah, we should sing.
Alright.
Yes. Ice Frogs.
Happy
Again, Ice Frogs.
To you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Galen. Happy birthday to you.
So, how many of you are actually brownies, or is that just like?
Oh, God. Oh,
I'll admit I first season I enjoyed
He's not with us, though.
Brought you a brownie thing too.
Really?
How did you make that correlation, by the way?
Yeah,
There's a, so,
Go nuts. You can throw that.
somebody asked me if I'd, so, Lauren Faust is the creator. She's actually super cool and should make video games. So I knew her, so I started watching.
Is there gonna be a Valve My Little Pony game?
Well, we're trying to figure out how to do something.
Hi, that's Frog.
That would be nice, bro.
Oh, damn. Didn't do flash, I'm sorry.
Where's Eric? So he's Eric Johnson, so.
Hello, Eric.
Oh.
You're gonna get the ice frog. Little ice frog.
Hi, Ice Frog.
No ice bro.
What kind of hats do you have in TF2?
I have all of them.
Nazi hat?
Do you have a Nazi hat?
It's really good. Yeah. I have a band hammer, so that's fun.
Did it actually ban people? Or did it...
What's more than that?
That was
What's the history of the war?
Picture the what?
The war.
Well, we actually have a Brony board on 4chan called NLP, and it's kind of, it started on the Linux board, and it kind of spread to every board in different sections, so we made its own board, NLP.
Like they would make what we call shit posts on every board in
Just post ponies on every board.
like no matter the topic.
We're not here to talk about
So we
ponies,
gave them their own board called NLP.
So we just gave them their own.
Can we just not talk about?
Yeah.
It's a negative topic.
Anyway, we are big fans, and we came here because Mike organized the first successful. We've tried to do a Gaben Exodus, quote unquote, before.
About
and,
4 times.
For years, and
4 times.
never
Yeah,
happened.
it finally came to fruition.
3-4 times.
And we're kind of.
Really trying to realize that it's board review.
This whole tour was like the Willy Wonka thing.
Like the board.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So what do you want to know about Let's Not Have Those Three?
So tell us about Ricochet 2.
Anything about you're all working on a new engine?
Source 2 could or could not be.
So we've been working on engine stuff for a while, so you probably just rolled out and over again.
Is it going to be more than just a very appended to source? Like, is it an entirely new engine?
Yeah. Cool. Ricochet 2 started development.
Yeah.
Well, you talked about Ricochet 2 on some podcasts, and you talked about how people who are working on Ricochet 2 continue working on Ricochet 2. Can we talk more about Ricochet 2? No.
I think you said
Ricochet.
Why did you feel it necessary to release Left 4 Dead 2 in such a short time after Left 4 Dead 1 was
The guys who are working on it, you know, like Tom Leonard and Steve Bond and so on, really wanted to actually, so as you all know very well, there's time and there's not time. So we've always been, you know, like any project, there's 3 things straight. Either how long it's going to take, how many people are working on it, or whether it's time. That you can constrain too, but the third one, you have to relax. So we've always screwed the schedule for the other 2, and the guys who are working on Left 4 Dead 1 really wanted to do a project that would take a year. You know, they wanted to have that as an option in case we needed to do it. So the whole focus for them was to try to do something that was reliable in terms of schedule. So, we didn't think people would freak out. We're like, yeah, we should do something on time. We'd be like, oh my god! So that's why.
Quick question, how long have you been growing out that awesome beard?
About a year, yeah.
Well, there's no real you can't improve what's perfect, but.
Like it's very bushy and like that.
And secondly, with the mandatory arbitration, why you guys were really late to that game, and why did you decide to implement it so recently?
So do you guys actually care? Or just,
I
No, we don't want to.
So there's this. It has to do with class action lawsuits. There are all these class action lawsuit lawyers who just pop up, and there's the problem is that it's asymmetric, so they can basically file a lawsuit against you in federal court and cost them nothing, and then the first thing they say is, okay, now you have to do discovery on every single document you've ever created in history.
And that costs money.
Were you threatened
Well,
with
it's
it?
a shakedown, yeah, right? So they're essentially trying to say, you could either spend, just like in the first filing, $3 million, because it takes a lot, because lawyers have to read every document, blah, blah, blah. Or they'll say, why don't you just give us $500,000? So it really is a shakedown.
Okay.
And so the arbitration, that's really not about users, it's really about this classic litigation that's awesome.
Okay, well
Because
then.
if we're dicks, you guys are going to show up here, well, you could still sue us. And you could still sue us.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, let's not go into that, but I understand. Okay, well then I'm actually happy to hear that it was you held off. That actually makes me feel better.
Yeah,
Until
people who don't usually do the research, they think that it's just a way to like take being able to file actual complaints against the company away from the customer. And I know that's not true.
Right.
But,
So,
One last one over.
Oh, I didn't get one.
Yeah, it's more over.
it's a, So a lot of what we do is try to avoid other people. Like, we're happy if you're mad at us. We're happy if you're mad at us and you let us know because we'll do better, right? There's a relationship we have direct with customers. We don't have bankers, we don't have publishers, right? All of our decisions are ours. And, but occasionally these other places called courtrooms, especially as you go around the world, you know, the situation in Germany is different from the situation in Malaysia. And that's like, we haven't really figured out a way to avoid letting other people, you know, interfere in the relationship that we have with customers in that domain. So we'll have to start our own country.
Get an island. Call it Steamland and.
Yeah, but that, I mean, you guys have seen the benefits of us not being beholden to third parties, right? We make decisions where we just, you know, it's remarkable how hard it is for a lot of game developers who actually know what the right thing to do is, but they're not able to do the right thing because some product marketing guy at a publisher says, no, we have to do this, or some banker says, hey, I heard this social gaming thing. They're always wrong.
I had an interview with John Schiller from Obsidian, and he was saying the same thing. It's just with the Kickstarter project, with that project attorney, it's nice to not have that person that doesn't know what they're talking about, and they're looking only for the bottom line to come and like, you should do this. Like, I don't think you know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So the Kickstarter thing is great.
Kickstarter, yeah.
Today, gamers are fronting the money anyhow, right? If you think of what a publisher's doing, all they're doing is holding on to gamers' money for a little while and then attaching a bunch of strings to it.
I saw that one Kickstarter you endorsed about the sword play. I think it was by a company. Yeah. Did that get funded or?
Yeah, that got funded.
Awesome. Good.
And,
That's great to hear.
Palmer Luckey.
Yeah, it looked really awesome.
Yeah. So in general, I think the more that, you know, 4chan should start a venture fund, basically, and pick the games you like.
There's this legendary 4chan game called Pressure. It's about like an underwater station. I can't really explain
If you
it.
start a Kickstarter,
It's our dream game that we've been talking about for years. And
Like it's procedurally generated, so random disasters happen.
You guys can put money together.
They tried to
if
make
you guys get behind it,
you're like in an underwater. Yeah.
We will give you all of it.
I was just put up a Kickstarter. After you have the money, then pick a team to do it, right? Because eventually the game people will show up, right? I mean, you should just have.
Gamers would trust your guys' opinion on if it's gonna be good,
Yeah.
more so than.
We don't trust our opinion.
Wow, we haven't sat in a publisher meeting. It's pretty grim. So that's like one of the things I think the whole industry will benefit from is the gamers having more control over where the money is going in terms of funding projects. There'll still be a bunch of projects that fail, but at least there'll be more interesting failures in the, you know, you won't just get the same damn game over and over and over.
Is that kind of why you started the Greenlight project?
Which project?
Is that kind of why you started on the Greenlight project?
Greenlight was trying to do that. I don't think we did a super good job. We have a bunch of work to do, but the idea of, first of all, there's way too much between a game developer and getting something on Steam. And it's really because we've been kind of stupid about how the amount of work that we have to do. So, you know, like, just to process everybody applying on Steam is like 20 or 30 people's work. We need to make that process a lot more efficient. So Greenlight was more about, well, why don't you guys pick which one we should do turn the crank on, as opposed to let's just figure out how to make turning the crank easy so that anybody can put it up. So Greenlight's better than nothing, but it's still not really where we need.
Have you guys considered creating a sub-platform on Steam that would allow developers to, while they're in the development stage of their game, allow the community to take part in the actual game development itself? Like, would Valve ever do that?
Similar to Kickstarter?
Well, not really. Well, they're just donating money in that, but this would actually be, you've got.
Workshop.
Yeah, well, workshop, but while the game is being developed.
So kind of like that Mega Man Legend 3 thing? That almost
Contribute assets, exactly.
Better than like.
That are
filtered
inputs into
by
the game.
Everybody's headed that way, right? I mean, if you,
Compensated for it.
well, the way I think, the direction that I think we're headed in right now, not just Valve, but everybody is towards, so one thing you guys may not know is that the community generates about 10 times as much concept for TF2 as Val does, right? And I think that's even though that's all in a pretty primitive stage still, but my expectation is that all games will basically be about creating a framework where the community participates and builds on top of it. And I think that means it'll end up going in surprising directions, but I think everybody is going to be happier with the results.
I just can't help but wonder what would be like if Valve was to announce like a game concept and then state that they wanted the community to contribute stuff while the game was being developed, and how fast it would actually, how much it would increase the amount of time or decrease the amount of time it takes to develop the game itself.
Where we're headed.
Kind of like a beta.
You're absolutely saying the same things you say internally.
Is there a fear then, but with like too many cooks in the kitchen then, of just all these random people from all over just throwing ideas, like, okay, well, this is all over the place and these are a lot of cool ideas, but how do you even make one thing from them?
So that's one of the issues, and you can think of it a couple of different ways. One way to think of it is a content discovery problem. So 4chan has this problem, right? There's a billion piles of crap for everything that's awesome. And you guys are wrestling with the problem the same way as we are. It's like, how do I find on 4chan or in this user-generated content, MMO-ish thing, how do I find the stuff that's right for me? So I think that's a hot topic right now, both as a design problem and as a technology problem. I mean, what's the current method on 4chan?
There's a catalog that I mean, nothing sticks around. It's gone. It's the second fastest moving board, and I mean, something that was created.
Well, some of the boards are so far gone.
I don't know, like, if you have a kind of method between, if you're, like, always developing, or if you guys are kind of, like, downtime between projects, but, like, in terms of, like, precise, like, content creation for, like, artists and for, like, sound, like, what do they do if there's downtime? Like, you have to create architecture around stuff, so what are they doing in that spare time?
So everybody, I mean, you saw our desks, right? You see that they're on wheels, so people just, nobody tells them what to do. Everybody just figures out what to do.
So I think it's wear multiple hats a lot of the time.
We could wear many hats. This got more work to do than we can get done. And everybody here tends to be able to do a bunch of different things, so, like Jeff Unai. Jeff worked on Avatar. He inherited the facial animation system from Bay. That's Peter Jackson's production company. But he also turns out he's the guy who made all of the Dota 2 videos of the international tournament. You know, so almost everybody does multiple things. Ken Birdwell, who's been here since the beginning, did the skeletal animation system, but he also has a BFA, right? So he does art. So pretty much everybody here can do multiple things. A lot of people here are musicians. Almost everybody can, except for me, can draw. So people get to pick what they think is going to be most valuable. And a lot of things, I mean, the f-stop, which was sort of Josh and David's kind of take on what they thought would be an interesting direction for Portal 2, was something that they did when they finished up work. We're working on Left 4 Dead, right? And then
Just some stuff.
No, but what was Josh doing before they did f-stop? Anyhow, yeah, so people will just pick what they think is interesting. And because one of the things that may not be obvious from the outside is everybody here sort of feels like you have kind of a limited amount of time, right? So you look at somebody like Michael Abrash. He worked on the original version of NT, Windows NT, and then he worked with Carmack. He was the other programmer on Quake, right? But he just went and worked on Laravel for like 6 years, and it was like he set fire to 6 years of his life. You know, he could have been doing Quake, or he could have been doing Windows NT, and instead he worked on a project that was killed for sort of no good reason. So everybody has this kind of sense of urgency that we only get so many shots at building stuff that's interesting. Nobody really wants to waste their time. But, and that really keeps everybody motivated. It's really fun to ship. It's really fun to get these games out the door and to do stuff that you guys like.
So what do you do for the seasonal events for some of the games, like Team Fortress 2? Do you guys have like a competition kind of going of what happens in projects, or?
You mean how do we design them?
Yeah.
Well, they just like through doing firefighting.
Did you guys expect a 6-second kill from that fudge stacking?
No, I saw that. Well, we expected anything though to happen. Well, the Dota community is pretty good at figuring out what will work. But the groups are, they, just like all of the groups that build those are, and people inside of the team that decide that they want to go work on that stuff, so. Yule and, who doesn't know who Yule is, right? Yule, the original Dota guy, the pre-Iceberg guy. Him and, Brandon Reinberg, started introducing kind of how Dota kind of stuff in there. And as, people wanted to help out on it. We expected anything to happen though. Is there a season plan? Yeah, we'll do some. One of the things, so it's interesting, you guys know when people are lying to you, right?
Yeah. Todd Howard.
You can do anything in this game.
I will follow through 1,000 questions.
You can climb that.
Peter,
And it's one of those things that the internet is way smarter than anybody realizes. So it's really a bad idea. There are a couple things. One, don't ever lie to the internet. The internet never forgets, and the internet is incredibly fucking fast. I'm not saying we didn't know what to expect to do. I mean, what I'm saying is like we knew. We tried to predict. We could always say everything went faster than we expect, and we're still always surprised. So my big hope is I get kidnapped one day, right? And somebody says, hey, let's kidnap this guy because he's supposed to have a bunch of money. Because now's the time 4chan is going to get that. Like the over and under on that is like 3 hours.
If 4chan were to get you,
That would be bad. I would just roll.
I don't think it would be about money. I personally don't think it would be about money.
The 4chan is kidnapped.
no, they spend too much time fighting over what to do.
Quick question regarding TI3. Do you have any news on that? Because it's been pretty under wraps so far.
I don't think we're trying to be under wraps.
No, we're going to do it for sure.
Location?
We don't know.
Please?
Probably will be that.
Yes. All right.
I want to see China and EJ wants to do Seattle.
Our big issue, like we'd like to take it around the world, but a big part, I think, that made it kind of fun this time around is how many people from Valve. There's over half the company.
It's like one of the most fun things we get to do each year.
Yeah.
It's like building and shipping a game in a week, which is just super exciting for us. So if it's overseas, I can go anyhow. But a whole bunch of other people go, and we had a blast.
If it's in China, I'll be there for sure. So.
How many people did any of you guys go to international? Wasn't it?
This is the best experience of my life. Yeah.
The horn was a nice touch, by the way. The real horn that he started in.
So, yeah.
The Vuvuzela?
Yeah, they blew an actual horn in
the
stadium.
We
punches.
went into that, again, not knowing what was going to happen. Like, there was people 10 minutes before the event started worried that no one was going to show up. So, we kind of know how to do that now, and so next year should be pretty cool.
Well, first of all, I thank you for moving that record that somebody did by glitching Neurotron in 0.009 seconds. That was just picking who say it there. I was just like, just let people actually do it. But I have a question that probably hasn't been asked in a long time. But this is a question that comes from people who put complaints about Valve. It's not an ignorant question or things like that. People say that you said that piracy is a non-issue a few years ago, right?
Yeah.
Is that still hold true?
Yeah.
Well, basically what I want to ask is, what do you think of people promoting DRM-free services where the game is not like bound to an account or anything like that, where you actually own the game and stuff like that?
Well, I mean, you actually asked a couple different questions. I mean, I don't have a problem with DRM. I think actually we're gonna head that way anyhow. The problem is, you're gonna end up with a lot of assets inside of the games. Here's the bigger problem, right? Do we worry about piracy? No. What we worry about are people stealing accounts. That's like a million times bigger of a problem for us.
That's our biggest problem is for us.
Right. So the question becomes, as you have more and more value in your accounts, right? You'll eventually have $20,000, $30,000 worth of stuff in your account, because all the time you're playing, you're gonna be essentially generating value. You're gonna be collecting hats, you're gonna be crafting stuff, you're gonna be trading with stupid people on Reddit. And you wanna not, that's way bigger concern.
Reddit guys are coming.
Say the same thing in reverse.
I'll just go to that one.
I have a follow-up question to that. Do you think that, this is actually a two-part question. One, do you think other game companies are afraid to go that route because they're publicly traded and people don't understand piracy, or anything like that? And does the same thing follow for your horizontal architecture? Because you don't see that in many other players with that power.
So, I don't know, like in the 90s, when we were first starting the company, we tended to treat some of the stuff we did as sort of like, oh, this is kind of cool, so maybe it's kind of a trade secret. And then, after a while, we were like, oh, this is nobody ever does what we say we're doing anyhow. So, or it takes them incredibly long to do. So, when we first started talking about digital distribution, it seems, which is a simple thing, right? You cannot be a 4chan user and have somebody say digital distribution. That's crazy talk, right? It just seems super obvious. But we were saying it and then figured, well, somebody else will just steal this idea. And
PA?
We've been saying forever that it's a really good idea to, not have the funding for your projects interfere with your game decisions, right? But how many companies really are in that, have put themselves into that situation? So, the way that we organize our company makes a huge amount of sense to us. And I think it'll be a long time before you see other companies that are similarly organized. The other thing is if they just try to copy what they think we're doing, they'll end up making mistakes.
Origin.
Company structure was.
Oh, gotcha, okay.
I mean, the consequences and trade-offs to the decisions you make. So when somebody, they need to understand why they're doing something in order to make those the right trade-offs.
It's a very interconnected system.
Right.
Sure.
Like we do stuff, like we don't have sick. We try not to have sick time or vacation time, but we sort of have to because of Washington state law. But we say to people, it's like, look, you shouldn't be at work, don't be at work. And we're far more likely to send somebody home than we are to ask somebody, well, actually we never ask anybody where they are. But we'll tell people to go home.
What company might ask wants to people at work?
Right. Yeah. That's also really dependent on the people you hire, right? I can't think of anybody here who'd say, woohoo, I'm going to just go away for 4 months. Usually, it's you. You would do it. It's way more likely that you're walking around at 2 o'clock in the morning and you say, no,
GTFO.
Yeah. There are smart companies and there are dumb companies, and dumb companies will fall off, and smart companies will.
Would you consider EA and Activision smart companies? Or their EA stock, right now, is not doing too hot.
Or terrible companies that we all hate.
Their DLC model, is kind of the most hated companies on 4chan, whereas Valve is probably the least hated. Or most was. 4chan, yeah.
You and CD Projekt are...
Yeah, CD Projekt and Valve are probably...
So what should we be paying attention to that we're not, right? I mean, you guys, this is your opportunity.
Have you seen that Mona Lisa picture?
No,
what it shows, it's the DLC model through time. It shows in 1990, it shows an actual picture of Mona Lisa. And then it shows 1997 or something, it shows the Mona Lisa and then a couple other paintings, and it says these are expansions with pictures. And then it shows Mona Lisa with a piece taken out, So it's a complete painting, and then this is $30. Then it shows in the future just all these pieces, and it's never actually
And this,
complete.
you get half the game and the rest is
It's just all these
$19.99 for the
pieces.
DLC. $60 for free.